Hello everyone, I'm Helene. Welcome to a little cabin fever crochet on location on the lake today with my sidekick Lucy for a little quiet R&R time together. I brought a nice book, a little bit of crochet maybe, and a crochet book just to kick back for a few. I did go to the yarn stores this past week. Such a gorgeous day. Wanted to share that with you for a few. It's pretty windy. Hopefully you can hear me all right. I haven't been doing much yarn shopping lately, and I really want to work through some of what I have, but I'm curious. I like to see what's new, and it's always fun going into the stores for inspiration, if nothing else. And I've been hearing and seeing on YouTube there have been really big clearance sales. So I called Hobby Lobby like the week, maybe 5 days before, just to save myself that 45-minute drive each way to see if they had started their clearance sale. And back in the yarn department, I was told, oh, well, they haven't, and they didn't know when she would. So the rest of the week goes by, and then comes Saturday, so I had some other things to do, consolidate my trip down there, and lo and behold, they had the sale going all week, and there was nothing left on clearance, not a one skein. It was all pillaged out, but oh well, I figured, I really wasn't in the buying so much mood anyway, just a couple little things that I needed, accessories and things, but I figured if it was meant to be, there would have been some. Oh, but aha, there was some hiding after all, which I discovered the second time around when I went back several days later, and I will show you at the end what I got. Woohoo! So then I went to JoAnn and found some interesting yarns, and one I was really tempted on getting, but I had to think about it and look at the fiber and really decide, am I going to truly enjoy working with this, or do I just want it because of the color? And I don't know if you've done that before. You buy because it's so pretty, I have to have it, and you get it home. It's just like, not loving this yarn at all. And I pretty much figured I would wind up getting really frustrated with it, and I wasn't thrilled where it was made either. So I put that back, and I just picked up a set of blocking mats, those interlocking foam mats. And usually if I do any blocking or light blocking, I like to kind of keep it simple, and I'll use my hand, pin it to a towel if I have to. But I do have one set of those mats, but they've come in really handy, and when you need to pin something really securely and not have it shuffle or move around as it can very easily when it's on a towel, boy, those come in really handy. So I had a terrific 50% off coupon, so I used that, and even with the price increases, it made a big difference. So that was nice. And yeah, it was pretty shocking, actually, sticker shock, to see the increases in some of the yarn. So anyway, Michael's had all of their yarn 30% off, and then I got an additional 15% military discount. They have military and teacher discount, which is the same. So that was stacked on top, and that was nice. It helped offset that 30% increase. And of course, it can get pretty tempting going into those yarn stores, but yeah, I picked up some beads there for children's bracelets that I make at the market. And then I did get a small amount of a new yarn that is Michael's in-house line. They're loops and threads. It looked pretty interesting. And I want to compare it to another similar type by Lion Brand. And so I will show you that and show you what it is and my take on the differences of that yarn when we get to that point. So I'm going to go through each store. I focused on JoAnn and Michael's and what they had there. So I'll get into it and give you a little review of my take just from handling and looking at the yarn, what I liked, what I thought could be maybe issues with that particular yarn, and so forth. All right, well, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, And I hope everything's going well with you, and hope you'll continue watching for just what's new at the stores and my take and just a little quick review just by handling them, and kind of what I think and what I might be interested in trying again some other time. All right, take care, everyone. Okay. Here we go, starting off at JoAnn. What first caught my eye was their in-house brand Big Twist in the Glam yarn. 261 yards, 3.5 ounces, 61% acrylic, which is the base, and that portion was very soft, and then 39% poly, which was a filament type wrapped around the acrylic. That part felt very plasticky to me, and for that reason is why I decided not to get it. It is also made in China, and they're very, very small sequins, which were not scratchy and seem to blend into the yarn very nicely, creating an overall beautiful effect in this subtle tonal gradient yarn, where you can see a little up close, some are a little more subtle, some are a little bit more pronounced. I think it would make absolutely beautiful shawls, but I could see also how very lightly wound that the strands are, which aren't necessarily a bad thing. It can add a lot of interest, drape texture to the project, but it is a lot more fiddly, and because of the filament part added, it's going to be extra slippery and can easily slide off the hook itself. And since I already have yarns like that, and because of the plasticky feel, I decided to pass on this one, even though so very pretty. And another in-house brand JoAnn has their K+C yarn for knit and crochet. They have a new one made in Turkey. You can see the specs on that, the number 4 weight, how many yards and so forth you get. It is 100% cotton. It is very soft. Now, if you're in the United States, if you have a Hobby Lobby near you and are familiar with their I Love This Cotton yarn, compared to that, it is not as soft, but I think it's because it's wound more tightly and it's a little bit more dense, therefore I could feel the texture more. But I think it would be terrific for certain projects where you need just a little bit of bite, but you don't want to go into the more coarse dishcloth yarn. So I would say not really a cross between, it's more leaning towards the very soft end of it, but it's going to have more substance for your projects at the same time. And they have a lot of nice colors and some of these striping types that you see here, variegated stripy ones. Another new K+C yarn called Pearl, 70% Lyocell, 30% viscose, both of plant fiber pulp. This one also is made in China. 240 yards. It's considered a number 2 weight, maybe because the yarn does compress down a lot. It's lightly spun. I'm thinking more maybe between a 3, a lighter 3 into a 2. It is a type of maybe like a chain knit I-cord. I couldn't quite tell, other than the strands are linked together, which can make a very interesting project. The colors are limited, however, as you can see above this pretty turquoise. They're mostly in the primary category and not very many of them. Now here's a really unique yarn called Movement, made in Turkey, 48% cotton, 52% viscose. It's on the ball band, number 3 weight, 216.5 yards, but I think there's a little bit of a mislabel here because it's calling for an E hook. It says 4 to 4.5 millimeter, which that is in the G hook category. So you just can use your own judgment on that, but I think a number 3 weight is really right on. And it's very pretty, and it gives that look of that shiny, that filament, which I think must come from the viscose, but it's a very nice combination of the two. So with that 48% cotton, you have a bit of substance to it, but you also will get some really nice drape, coolness, lightness, and airiness, and slip with the viscose to it. And if you like variegated tonal colors, very, very pretty assortment on this one. Here's another new big twist yarn called Relax. It's a number 2 weight cotton acrylic blend, not quite 50-50, but it was close within that range. 269 yards. They come in cakes that are more muted stone-washed colors, which I really liked a lot. It did have a more cottony feel to it to me, and the price for the amount that you get, $10.99, I think way over the top on that. Personally, I know the cost of everything has gone up, including yarn, and I'm sure cotton as well, and the production and transport of everything. And even though I liked the yarn, I thought it was interesting and the colors are unique and pretty and something I gravitate towards, I had to pass. This was a no for me, the price point alone, but if some of you got that, please let me know if you've made anything, how you liked it, and how it worked up. Last one up to show you from JoAnn is the Big Twist Skyline. Really caught my eye. So many beautiful colors. It is a fingering weight, 438 yards, 100% acrylic, I believe it is. It does remind me of Red Heart Unforgettable or Lion Brand Landscapes yarn in the texture, the fuzziness, the roving type, although this didn't seem too dramatically roving, where it goes a little bit from thinner to thicker. It was a little bit more even, but just enough to add some beautiful texture. And it also has more of a satin to matte finish versus a high sheen compared to the other two that I mentioned. Keep in mind though, it is the type of yarn that will catch on itself, so you have to be careful watching your stitches so you don't make mistakes, taking it out and so forth. Can be a little bit more work, but I think it's worth it because it's just so beautiful, and these types of yarns not only are pretty in their color, but they work up just as nicely too. And here we go, moseying on over to Michael's. They had a lot on clearance. Can you believe that, on that Ogo yarn? And then the Caron tea cakes. I was so happy to see those brought back last year. $2 each here on clearance, what's left. And last year I discovered this Baby Delight yarn. I think it was a different name, but exact same content. Mostly acrylic with a little polyamide. Number 3 weight, so soft, and I got just enough to make a baby blanket because every year at the farmers market someone always asks if I have one for sale, so this year I will, just in case. And for all the Caron cotton cake lovers out there, there's some scrumptious new varieties on the block this year with lava cakes to begin. I thought you could use the multicolor for the main body of the work, the solid color for the border, or vice versa, or break up some of the multicolor with the solid in between and then tie it all back together again with the solid for the border. Or mix and match with some of these other fun and unique colors that could work very well together. Here are painterly cotton cakes. To me, they look very similar, just different colors from what I've seen in previous years. Except for these two cakes, the one on the bottom looks to have shorter color changes and more of them, and the one on top, two-tone, will give a very interesting marled effect. I really like that Michael's has been carrying Lion Brand's Trubu yarn out, and they got in some of the new colors. They are all so yummy and luscious. I could just take a trunk load of each. This is Cameo in the front, Mulberry center, and Rose in the back. I think they go well together actually. And a few neutrals, very, very pleasing to the eye. Soft yet colorful in Sienna, Khaki, and Sand. Here's that Michael's Loops and Threads in-house brand that I mentioned at the beginning that I wanted to compare to Lion Brand's Trubu yarn. The Trubu is 100% bamboo from rayon. This Capri Tencel yarn by Michael's is 100% Tencel, it's its namesake. Both are plant fiber pulp. Tencel I think is often from beechwood, but not necessarily always. They're both very similar. to the touch. They're both cool. They have a lot of nice drape. They're very silky, have a lot of slip to it. The main difference that I could see is that the 100% Tencel by Michaels has more of a twist to it, and it's a little bit more tightly wound. The True Boo yarn is very lightly wound, and the strands do tend to separate, as you can see here in the side-by-side picture. True Boo on the left, the Capri yarn on the right. And the Capri yarn has more yardage to it, but I think because it is more tightly wound and it compresses the yarn down some. But when I compressed the True Boo yarn in my hand, they were both very close to the same. I do plan on working up some sample swatches later on, and I might come back and do just a quick little update with a side-by-side comparison of the two and how they work up. And here are all the different colors. My camera, I cut it off a little bit at the top, but on the left, that vertical row where I'm pointing goes all the way up to the top and down to the bottom where there were some of the neutral colors, and then also the row, all the racks vertically to the right of that from the top to the bottom. So really, really nice range of colors, and I'm looking forward to working with it, testing it out. And then, surprise, surprise, I went back several days later, had to go back into town for something, and stopped back at Hobby Lobby. Just one small pack of buttons actually popped over the yarn section, and I saw some tucked on the very bottom shelves. And the thing is with the clearance is that if they're rolled, the skeins are rolled over, may not necessarily see the clearance sticker. So I wonder if that was the case when I went in the first time. I don't know, but I've been very intrigued and interested in this Feeling Chunky yarn. It is like a twisted, thicker version, it feels like, of their I Love This Cotton. It is really, really soft. Quite nice. I think it has very interesting twist and texture for a project, and I mean that price, fantastic. So I thought this would be a good time to play. They didn't have very many colors left, so I got all they had of this pretty sunflower yellow color called Curry, the 2 white and 4 of the gray. This one or two of them not the same dye lot, but to me close enough. I can make it work, make it blend. Not sure what I'm going to do. Might be a bag. I don't think there's enough for quite a throw, just even a small like little lap blanket, lap gown. I think there's only 75 yards. Yeah, 75 yards per, but I'm going to do something with it. I think it's really nice. And then I already have this yarn in my stash, the Premier Momente yarn, Momente. And it is a blend. It's not 100%, but it's 58 cotton, 42 acrylic. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. I had to try it I think towards the end, sometime last year when they came out with it. And it's very, very soft also. But I thought, I have this in my stash. That could blend in somehow really nicely if I double up the strands to equal the thickness of the Feeling Chunky. So that will help me extend this project even a little bit farther if I go that route. And then I picked up all they had of the Hint of Silk in this really pretty mauve rose color. And this is 85% bamboo, 15 silk. Only 130 yards per. They had 8, so I got all 8. I think that would be enough to make a summer top or something. And I have worked with this yarn just once or twice. Really liked it a lot. And I think it's going to make a wonderful little top or kind of a summer vest or something like that. And then I picked up in the mustard color the 4 they had of these to make for a project to take to the market. It's an interesting color. I do like it. Not my color. Make me look very, very sallow, like I have the flu. But it's a great color for those who can wear it, and I know someone will really like that. So that's all I picked up at the clearance. They did have some others, but I just kind of picked and chose what I think that I could use and what would work for future plans and projects. While at Hobby Lobby, I did notice what is a new yarn to me called Nature's Nook. Very soft, muted, soothing colors, some in cool, more earthy tones, all very lovely. 54% acrylic, 28% lyocell, another plant fiber pulp, and 18% flax, which was very intriguing to me, drew me in. 180 yards per 3.5 ounces, so pretty middle of the road, number 4 medium weight. And I don't know if this happened in the packaging, transport, pulling it out of the box, maybe it got hung up somehow, but wow, I can clearly see issues here on both of these skeins at the top. That left one, it's really ratted, and that pretty light sage to the right, top right in the center, you can see same thing going on there. So hopefully they're just two isolated ones. Maybe they were at the top of the box, I don't know, but that might be something to try later on down the road when I'm in another yarn buying mode. Okay, my fiber friends, that's it for today. Please come back again next time. I appreciate you being here as always. Until then, take good care, and I will see you soon.